Hi, this is Brian with ActiveMelody.com. In this week's guitar lesson, you're going to learn how to play a soulful bluesy lead that's played in the key of C, and it's fairly easy to play. A lot of what we're going to be doing is in the same place on the neck, no matter which chord you're playing over, because we're going to be taking advantage of a major chord and its relative minor chord. And I'll explain what all that means in the lesson. We're also going to be playing off of chord shapes, so we're going to be pulling notes out of those specific chords and working those into our lead to have a more colorful or melodic sounding solo. And I've got the lesson split into two parts. In this video we'll take a look at the first half. If you'd like to watch the second half and download the tablature and get the MP3 jam track so that you can practice learning all these licks and playing them along with the jam track, you can get those by going to ActiveMelody.com, go to the weekly lessons page and do a search for EP290. Alright, so let's talk about tone settings, and I'll explain the settings that I'm using, and I'll explain how you can get the same sound out of whatever gear you've got. I don't want you to go out and buy stuff. It's usually overkill. You don't need to do that. And that's why I don't spend a lot of time talking about tone, because it's just endless variables to try and chase something that you usually never catch in the end anyway. So I'm playing through a Stratocaster, and I have the pickup selector switch on the neck pickup. And I tend to use this if I'm playing a lead on a Strat. I'm pretty much always, like 90% of the time, I'm playing out of this pickup. I like the sound out of it. It's warm, it's punchy. It just sounds really good for lead. If I'm playing on the bridge pickup, it tends to sound more nasal and bright. And I don't know, it's good for country or something, some twang. But for the most part, if you're doing like a mellow, bluesy kind of thing, I'm playing out of this pickup. Now, I'm not using an amp this time. I'm playing through a Kemper profiler. That's pretty much all I use now for these videos. And the reason for that is, well, it's got these great built-in amp tones, that's a big part of it. But the other part is it makes it very easy from a recording perspective. I don't have to put a microphone in front of a cabinet or any of that. I go right out of the Kemper into the camera that I'm talking into, and it just makes it very simple. Most people don't have a Kemper profiler, so you can use whatever amp you've got. Here's all you need to do. Just add a little bit of overdrive, like 1 out of 10, and then add a little bit of reverb, like maybe 20-30%. And that's pretty much it. That's the tone. It's just a very clean, simple tone. And you do that in conjunction with the pickup, that neck pickup, and you'll get a real nice, warm sound. Now, the only effect that I'm using, you'll hear a little bit of shimmer in the sound, and that is a tremolo effect. You can use a tremolo pedal if you've got one. If you don't, you can buy one. But if you're interested in tremolo pedals, I've tried several of them. The one that I like is one of those really small ones. It's made by Moore, M-O-O-E-R. It's called the Trelicopter. It's just simple. It's got a speed and a depth. I think it's just like 2 knobs on it. Most tremolo pedals do the same thing. It's always amazing to me when you see the cost differences. Some of them are like triple the cost of the others, but they're all kind of doing that, that shimmer effect into your sound. So just keep that in mind. You don't have to have a tremolo pedal, but that's what I'm using. And when I'm playing something slow and soulful like this, sometimes I'll go into the tremolo. It just gives a little bit of extra meat to your sound, I guess. Especially when you're doing things like, those kinds of things, those double stops, harmonized sixths like that. I think it fattens it up, and it's making both of those notes shimmer at the same time. Alright, so this song is in the key of C, and it's going from the C chord to its relative minor, which is an A minor. C to A minor. And then we go back to the C and back to the A minor. And it happens a few times at the beginning of this. And I love that combination of the major chord and its relative minor, because when you're playing lead over that, you can play in the same place. Now, I've actually covered this in detail in a previous lesson. If you want to see that lesson, it's EP269, so you can go to the Active Melody website and go to the lessons page and do a search. Just type in 269 in the search box, and you'll see that I go to about 4 minutes, and I think it's 4 minutes and 50 seconds into that part 1 video, and I go into this great detail about a major chord and its relative minor, how to find them, what they are, and all of that. So I'm not going to cover that in this lesson, but the takeaway from that was that I could play out of the same pentatonic pattern for both of those chords. So in this song, And that lesson happened to be a C and an A minor as well, so that works out nice. But this song starts on a C, and I start in the C major pentatonic scale, pattern 1. I'm going to be in pattern 1 for both the major pentatonic scale and the minor pentatonic scale. Let me explain. So C major pentatonic scale looks like this. Right? And now if I played those same notes while the chord underneath it is an A minor, same notes. Now I'm playing an A minor pentatonic scale. So it's a C major pentatonic scale, and it's also an A minor pentatonic scale. And you can hear the difference just by putting that chord underneath it. It totally colors it in a different way. So I can play the same exact spot and get a different feel because the chords are changing underneath it. Now the reverse of that is true too. There's a little sidebar here, but like if I wanted to, if the song just stayed on a C, for example, let's say it didn't go to the A minor, and I could start in the C major pentatonic scale, and I could go up 3 frets and go to the C minor pentatonic scale. Hear the difference? Same chord underneath it. See how bluesy that sounds as compared to the second one. The second one sounds a little more happy, a little more country, positive. I don't know how to describe it other than that. So I'm just mentioning that to show you how the scale and the chord correlate. Hopefully that makes sense. But let's get into this particular lesson now. So the song starts on the C chord, but you don't start playing until the third beat in the first measure. So it'd be 1, 2, 3. Coming in right on the 3. 1, 2, 3. Now remember that when you're playing along with a jam track for this, the first thing you're going to hear is the clicks, the first 4 clicks, and then right away when the song starts playing, you don't play, you wait for the third beat. So the song starts 1, 2, and then you come in on the 3. That's another little takeaway when you're playing lead, when you're improvising, if you're in a jam scenario with your friends or whatever your scenario is. Don't play right away when the drummer kicks in, because you don't know where things are. Like, let the band kind of do their thing, and then you react to that. That's probably the best, maybe the best advice I'll have in this whole thing is remembering that you're reacting to something. It makes it a lot easier to play that way too. Okay, so the notes, we're going to be in that pattern 1 of the major pentatonic scale for C, and I'm starting with my ring finger on the 5th fret, 5th string, sliding up to the 7th fret, 5th string, and then I come down on the 5th fret, 4th string, and then I do a hammer on between the 5th fret and the 7th fret on the 4th string, and then I come up to the 5th fret, 3rd string. You can see I'm just going on this little box here between the 5th fret and the 7th fret, and then back to the 7th fret, 4th string, and then back to the 5th fret, 3rd string. Let me play that lick by itself. Let's do it over and over again. And that's what you want to practice first. So before you move on to anything else, get that lick smooth. That's a takeaway lick that you can apply to anything that you do going forward now. Isn't that cool? Okay, so the next thing I played was... kind of an Albert King style lick, although Albert wouldn't play it that low on the neck. So I'm starting here on the 5th fret, 3rd string, coming up to the 7th fret on the 3rd string, and then I do 3 full bends on the 7th fret, 3rd string. So 1, 2, and then the 3rd one goes like this. That 3rd one goes 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. That's the Albert King style lick. So it's a bend, and then you don't release it. You kill it before it comes down, like that. And so I use my right hand, to stop the sound. 5th fret, 3rd string, 7th fret, 4th string. So let's back it up from the beginning. 1, 2. Now the next thing goes like that. So that's the 7th fret, 4th string. We're hitting that twice. Now we're going to do a hammer-on between the 5th fret and the 7th fret on the 3rd string. And then we come back to the 5th fret, 3rd string. Now these are simple licks that we're learning here, and they're all between the 5th fret and the 7th fret. So you can see that there's nothing complicated going on here from a technical standpoint, and even from a neck standpoint. It's all in the same little box. But that's always fascinated me about really good blues players, is they'll take just a few notes, but they'll milk them. And when you learn those licks, you realize, like, wow, there really wasn't a whole lot going on there. It was just a few notes. But the emotion that you can get out of a few notes is amazing. All right, so from the beginning we have 1, 2. And then I played. That's where the song goes from the A minor back to the C. Really cool, very simple. All I'm doing is I'm going from pattern 1 up to pattern 2, and then back to pattern 1. So I'm using my middle finger on the 7th fret, 3rd string, sliding up to the 9th fret, 3rd string, and then putting my index finger down on the 8th fret, 2nd string. While that note rings out, that's the thing, you want both notes ringing. And then slide back from that'll be the 9th fret, 3rd string. We're coming back to the 7th fret, 5th fret on the 3rd string, 7th fret, 4th string. So we have, and then that last note there is the 5th fret, 3rd string. And that lick works really well between the major and the minor pentatonic scale. So for example, if I played a C chord, watch this. There's your C. Here's your A minor. Look at that. You can see that same lick, as the chords underneath it start to change, that same lick works. And hopefully that helps illustrate that point of that major and relative minor. You hear it in so much music. It's so common. All right, from the beginning. 1, 2. Now the next thing, I do that. We're staying in pattern 1 of that major pentatonic scale for C, minor pentatonic scale for A minor. So I hit that twice, 5th fret, 3rd string, and then I came up here to the 8th fret, 2nd string, and did a full bend, release that bend, and then hit the 8th fret, 2nd string without the bend. Now after that I played. I love that. So let me show you that. Now again, we're still in that minor pentatonic scale, pattern 1 for A minor. To that 8th fret, 2nd string, I do a bend and release, and then come down to the 5th fret, 2nd string, and then I come down to the 7th fret, 3rd string, do a full bend there, and then play the 7th fret, 3rd string without the bend. And then there's that hammer-on between the 5th fret and the 7th fret on the 3rd string. So you have, and then I resolve that by playing the 5th fret, 3rd string. So let's try that again. This lick is an Eric Clapton lick. He'll do this where, although I don't hear him doing it as much anymore for some reason, but that hammer-on between those two notes like that, where you start here and then you come back to the note. I used to hear him do that, I guess more in the 80s, so maybe his style's changed a little. And then that last note, actually, kind of like your voice would be trailing off, I let my finger just come up here and do another hammer-on to the 7th fret, 3rd string. Let me back up now from the beginning. I just like to kind of keep going back over this stuff, and hopefully it'll start to sink in. So we'll start it from the very beginning. 1, 2. Okay, and then after that I went, and this is again going from pattern 1 to pattern 2, and I'm starting here with my middle finger on the 7th fret, 3rd string, sliding up to the 9th fret, and then I come up and played the 10th fret, 2nd string. Now I'm using my middle finger to hit that, just because, not for any reason other than a tone thing. It just, to me, when I hit that and pull it, I get a more poppy sound than if I'd use my pick. That's just up to you. You could pick it, obviously, but... So after I hit that note, then I'm going to slide from the 9th fret back to the 7th fret, down to the 5th fret. That's all on the 3rd string there. And then we're going to play 7th fret, 4th string, 5th fret, 4th string. So we have... And then while that 5th fret, 4th string is played, I go ahead and bar there so that I can play the 5th fret, 3rd string, 7th fret, 3rd string, slide up to the 9th fret, 3rd string, and that's how we end it. So that's the whole lick. So you got... It's a really cool lick, and you can use that in other things. And that's what I want you to do actually with all of these licks, is don't just have them in context for this jam track, but take another jam track from Active Melody and see how you can use that lick. It'll work over, you could do it in major pentatonic scale, you could do it minor pentatonic scale. It's going to work either way. Now, I could have done, instead of doing that, I could have went and played those two notes, the same two notes. But the reason I came up and did this is I want you to start thinking about coming into this pattern 2 more, because it gives you a little more room to grow. If you were wanting to go, you could do that. Now I could do that down here, but I have that extra note, which is all right there in the same spot. And so that's why I find playing it like that to be advantageous. It just depends. I mean, sometimes you're going to want to come down here and play it this way if you're doing that kind of stuff. But otherwise, just remember you've got more room to grow this way if you play it here. Okay. Alright, so I think I'm going to end this part 1 video here. That's a lot of information, and I'm going to save the rest of this for the second half and the second video. If you're not a premium member yet, you got to look into it. It's very affordable, and you'll obviously, with this lesson and with all lessons, you have access to everything, but you'd have the tablature and the jam track and all of the lesson material as well. And an awesome community of other players that are interested in learning to improvise like this. Alright, let me back up from the beginning of this, and then I'll see you in part 2. Here we go. 1, 2...